Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. Yeah, I want to talk about some other things Walking Dead related. There's actually quite a bit of things that I do want to get into here. A lot of news that I missed over the last week. I just had to take a break from some stuff because I started school recently, and so I've been kind of busy with that. And yeah, now I'm back on schedule and whatnot, and so I will be doing a video every single day here as we get closer to the Walking Dead Dead City's premiere date, which, I mean, there's going to be some sort of announcement coming very soon, right? Like, we're already at that point now where I don't think anything's happening this month, like for January here, but I think for February we're likely going to get something because the show is likely going to air at the end of April, early May. It seems like there's still some hope for March, but I think because Dark Winds is airing around that time that it makes sense that it's going to air after Dark Winds, and so most likely like late April, early May, around there, which again, to me, I think it would be really cool because you would have Dead City, going from May all the way until like the end of June, early July. We have Comic-Con that July, and then we have The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 3 airing, I guess that's September, right? So yeah, I think that's awesome. But yeah, I do want to get into, I guess, what I wanted to talk about here. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And so for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, I was talking about this show quite a bit over the last like however long, but what I do want to actually do now, since it's been like a couple of weeks of it being on Netflix, is sort of look at the records that it's been breaking, because for the first like what I would say 2 weeks now of it being on Netflix, I think it's still now in the top 10. I'm not entirely sure, but when I saw the other day, I feel like number 2, or it was in the top 10 for shows on Netflix, which is absolutely incredible. It really does show that like people do want to watch The Walking Dead, and I think it's about how to watch it kind of thing. I think that not everyone's going to have AMC Plus. And not only that, it's just that not everyone's Netflix, right? Like Netflix is one of the biggest streaming platforms out there. So when you get a show like, The Ones Who Live, a really incredible show, you get that on Netflix, a lot of people are going to start watching, right? So like to me, that makes a lot of sense. That's why we're seeing a lot of like success from the show on Netflix. And I also wanted to say this too. I saw this tweet here from Scott Gimple about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live being on Netflix. And this happened like 9 days ago now or something like that. But his tweet that he posted says, "To all the people posting and getting the word out about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live on Netflix, thank you." And so I'm really, this could just be me sort of, I guess, wondering, but like to me, he could just be saying thank you, literally just being like, thank you so much. Like that's awesome. But I also kind of feel like I wonder if that did anything in terms of AMC, doing a new series or a season 2. Like the fact that, because we don't know the numbers at all. Like Netflix could release the numbers potentially, but I don't know. Like I know streaming services don't always release their numbers all the time. And so maybe we will get that, but it's possible because we got such a big response here that maybe, the thank you is because, it was just that successful that there's stuff actually moving more in the direction of coming up with a newer series, right? But you still got to wonder what they filmed like a couple of weeks ago, right? Like what was that? They filmed for one day, and it was just very cryptic. It was in New York City, and it's really interesting. Like I do wonder if that was like a post-credit scene thing. Obviously, we will know once we get to the point of Dead City's finale or like at Comic-Con, right? Like that could definitely be teased around then. But like as of right now, that was definitely very interesting because it was filmed for like a new series, and everyone, like the articles written about it, were all saying that it was Walking Dead related, like people that were like in the area. But obviously everything on the set didn't seem Walking Dead related in terms of there was no zombies and all of that. But again, if you're filming for like one day, it is possible that like you don't need zombies there kind of thing. And who knows what they filmed? Like that's the thing. Who knows what they filmed? So we're going to have to wait and see what that means overall. But it's interesting. I'll just say that. So The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, I've been getting a lot of requests actually for people, wanting me to like break down the whole series. I think I did do that at some point. I wouldn't mind going more in depth and like revisiting episodes, like going back to episode 1, revisiting, the best moments there, like, oh, this moment meant this, and going to episode 2, doing the same thing. Because obviously when I first covered those episodes originally, it was just my review, and I would sort of break down every moment in the episode, and but a lot of that was like speculation on like, well, what could happen next, right? I think it'd be kind of cool to go back and be like, oh, so this moment meant this, and then also just kind of see if there's anything else there that could tease the future. I think that is something I probably will work on, because The Ones Who Live is very popular right now, and I think a lot of people want to know more about it. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of comment on that because yeah, it's actually really incredible here. But I also saw something here from GameRant.com, and This is actually, I guess, from Robert Kirkman. It talks about, I guess, what happens in the comic here when Rick does actually lose his hand. And there's actually a point made here where it says every now and then Rick does something he just shouldn't do. And when you're actually reading sort of what Kirkman says here, it was something that seemed like, you know, I guess that it was just sort of harder to write Rick's story because of that. And it just makes me wonder about Rick Grimes' story for the future. I think in movies and TV shows, or I guess it would probably be another TV show, right? Or season 2, a new series or whatever, I think that it definitely would be a bit easier than in the comic. I mean, you could argue that in the comic, you're just drawing stuff. So, you know, you should be able to draw the character a certain way so that it doesn't look like it's that ridiculous, right? But it will be interesting to see, I think, you know, in a season 2 or whatever, to see Rick, like, I mean, obviously in The Ones Who Live, he didn't have his hand, right? And so he had like this prosthetic. And I think that's what we saw there, right? Like we saw Rick not being able to use his hand. Like he had to sort of like hold weapons a different way. Everything was just different, right? And so I think it's a bit easier because you could just have a prosthetic, and then any sort of like action that like Andrew Lincoln would make while filming would just reflect the fact that, you know, he can't use his right hand, or I think it's his right hand, right? Right or left hand. In the comics though, yeah, definitely. It would be much more difficult to actually do that in terms of just a lot of story moments, I guess, you know. I also saw that recently, apparently Pollyanna McIntosh and the actors who play Dwight and Glenn, they were actually, or they reunited recently, I guess, at some sort of event that was happening, and really, really cool. I do have to watch some more of the interview just to see sort of, you know, more stuff there, but I know that Austin Emilio, I believe, who plays Dwight, did talk about, you know, returning as Dwight. Yeah, I'll get into what he said, I guess, in the video most likely tomorrow, but I also wanted to get into a Q&A thing here, because I did post that I was looking to answer some questions here related to The Walking Dead. I posted it on X, and you guys definitely delivered here, so let's get into the first question here. Do you think we will see Rick and Morgan reunite? They have to, right? It'll make Morgan's Fear the Walking Dead ending pointless if we don't see Morgan searching and finding Rick. Yeah, I think we will get that for sure. There's a lot of stories like that I can definitely see them telling in the future. And I do think they have plans. Like, that's the thing. That's the one thing I will say. So there's a lot of rumors out there right now about certain things with, you know, The Walking Dead in terms of spin-offs and all that. I'll talk about that maybe in a video later this week. We'll have to wait and see, because there's some stuff with it where I'm just like, I don't know. But I know that there are spin-offs in the works. Like Scott Gimple said last year in the fall that there was a bunch of ideas that he was working on, and a lot of stuff that, I don't remember the exact quote, but it did seem like, yeah, he was working on some new spin-offs and all that. So I imagine that we're going to see some of that very soon. It'll probably get announced this year, I'm sure, like at least one of the spinoffs, right? Like there's definitely going to be something else happening this year. So we'll have to wait and see. And in terms of Rick and Morgan reuniting, you know, like we definitely will see them on screen together again. It's just sort of a matter of when. Q&A, what would be an episode 1 storyline of the next series involving Rick? And would you say that these spinoffs should end in the next couple of years to avoid the universe from getting overmilked? Well, in terms of that, I think that people could have made that argument that the universe has already been, you know, sort of experiencing that for a very long time. And like, I don't know, like just look at Marvel. Marvel's been doing this for a very long time. And like, and I know people bring up the comics. It's like, well, it's because they're comics. That's why. And I'm like, yeah, I do get that aspect to it. But with The Walking Dead, like, it's all about telling stories. And so you can tell new stories. As long as you're able to tell new stories, keep doing it, right? And so The Walking Dead, they can just keep going on. And, you know, they created all these characters where these characters, like the next generation, could sort of, you know, come into play, and that'll be a new TV show. And like, they can just keep doing that forever and ever. And some people will stop watching because they're like, oh, this is too much. But then other people will start watching because it's the first time they ever watched The Walking Dead, right? So there's going to be a lot of that. It's going to keep happening like that. And that's just sort of what happens over time. Some people just stop watching, or they start watching later on. Or there's people that never watched it the whole time that are just starting to watch it right now. Like, it happens all the time. So I think these spinoffs will end in the next couple of years for sure, probably 4 or 5 years. And then I think after that, I mean, we really don't know what's going to happen, right? But I really do think we'll see a lot more after that. Q&A, how do you think the Walking Dead franchise will end? My take, the Civic Republic gets overthrown by those spies mentioned by Beale, and they begin their march across the country. Rick and the gang have to stop them. Well, I guess I could see that happening. I think my only issue with that is, like, how much do they really want to get back into the whole CRM thing? Because I think the idea of the CRM right now is just not that liked, so I just don't know how much that would be something that Gimple or even like Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera, like, I don't know how excited they would be to really get back into that and like making them villains again, because I also like the aspect of them being like on the hero side. Like there may be disagreements with the CRM in terms of how to handle resources, this and that. There could still be stuff that comes up for sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like that's the thing, you know, like there are spies out there too. So like there's a lot of places that they can actually go here. There's a lot of directions. It's just that we need to get more information from Gimple, right? And so I imagine this year for sure, because again, last year, The Ones Who Live just ended. You know, you're focused more on Daryl Dixon season 2 and sort of filming Dead City season 2 as well. So it makes sense that right now, like after all that was done, everyone else was focused on Daryl Dixon season 3. And I guess at some point this year, they're likely going to be filming Dead City season 3. It seems like a lot of the spinoff stuff is happening here. And so I think that, yeah, at some point very, very soon, I think by Comic-Con for sure, we will get another spinoff announcement. And, you know, again, Andrew Lincoln or at Andy Lincoln News' tweet or post about it, it's just really interesting. You know, I really wonder what that's about. And I do wonder if Rick's going to be in either one of the spinoffs or in another spinoff, like a brand new one, or maybe like a season 2 of The Ones Who Live. Though the way that made it seem, it almost sounds like it would be in like another series type of thing, like a new spinoff. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post your thoughts down below. I'm going to do some Dead City videos later on this week. I also want to do a Dwight video and catch up on some of the other stuff that I haven't talked about in regards to The Walking Dead. But I figured that I would start off with The Ones Who Live video because, yeah, there was a lot of really cool, awesome news that came out over the last couple of weeks that I just haven't gotten to yet. So yeah, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.